Caps are in a slog right now. Our friend John Walton is on the road somewhere in Western Canada right now, is my guess. Walton, how you doing, dude?
Other side of the border, Seattle, but close enough. Close
Oh,
enough.
you made it back.
Yeah. Land of the free, home of the brave. We're here. Yes.
Do we have more snow on the ground here than they do there?
Absolutely, which is crazy. We were just in Edmonton on Saturday night, and we still beat you in air temperature for sure. We were down to -25 by the time we left.
Wow.
But the snow was minimal compared to what we have back home. So the cold we weren't crazy about, but yeah, my daughter was out sledding in Northeast yesterday, and she's pretty happy about the situation. I'm not sure the rest of us are with the way the roads are, but we'll make do. We'll figure it out.
I guess this road trip extends kind of all this week. So when you guys fly home, what, Friday, late Thursday night?
Late Thursday night, yeah, from Detroit.
It's going to be cold.
I would think you get in, but it'll be interesting to see.
No, they'll get in. It's just it's going to be cold. And
you know what's crazy, and I can't imagine this happening at the end of a road trip, but in the same hotel in Seattle, the New Jersey Devils were here too. And so they got up yesterday, and they had to play Seattle, and they were supposed to fly home, and they didn't because they couldn't. They couldn't get back to Newark. Wow. So I can't imagine getting to the end of a trip and having that happen. It did happen here to the Devils, and although they're not playing in Detroit, they've got to play at home tomorrow night in Newark. So they were leaving here to fly to Detroit to stay there where we would normally stay when you're playing the Red Wings, but they're not playing the Red Wings. They just were trying to get closer to home so they could at least get some of the trip out of the way. It's wild. I mean, and all the Eastern teams are out here right now. The Penguins have been out here. We're out here. The Islanders are out here. So all teams trying to get home at various days, and all of us, I think, sweating that one a little bit.
That's crazy, dude. Well, we're going to get to the hockey here in a second, but considering you're in Seattle and you were there yesterday, what is the city like buzzing-wise with the Seahawks going to the Super Bowl?
It's awesome. Kenny Savard and I went down. We didn't get into the game because we decided we didn't want to. It's not our team, and we're not parting with $1,000 to get into the upper level. Right. So, but what we did do, there's a lot of really cool sports bars and breweries and stuff right around the stadium. So we were in a place that when the Jets flew over during the anthem yesterday, the entire building we were in shook. It was awesome. I mean, people are jammed up and we're watching with their fans, and it was really neat. Ken and me and Al Koken, we went and watched, and it was just fabulous. So when they won, they emptied into the streets, very peaceable but very happy, and they're hoping for one more. Yeah, and as someone who hails from the great state of Minnesota, I love the fact that the Minnesota sports curse continues. Darnold comes here. Like, what are we doing here, guys? The Vikings will never figure out the Twins, the Timberwolves, the Wild. It doesn't matter. It always happens the same.
Watching him play, you think about it, the last two games in Minnesota wasn't that good for him, but to see him right back there again this year.
It was, and you know what? I mean, here's a guy who, has always shown the promise, and, the Caps are kind of like that, where, guys have come from other places where it doesn't work out, and, it ends up being, the perfect fit. Sometimes it just takes a bit, BMitch, as you know. So for him to come here and do that, it was great. I mean, and the fans here, the Seahawks fans, Seattle sports fans are awesome. Like, they're just, when they get out and get after it, they're passionate, not just with football, but baseball and hockey and soccer. It's just, no matter the sport, they show up in big numbers. So to be able to just randomly be here in the middle of all of that was pretty great.
That's so cool, man. And last thing, you're a DC resident. We're all excited about building RFK. I think the Seahawks stadium, I've been there a couple times, is a good example of like an urban stadium where you still get tailgating, but it's a different experience and people love it.
Yeah, and you know what? The architect that the Commanders have is A++ because they built the stadium. They built US Bank in Minneapolis, and I went through that this summer, and I am telling you, I have never been in a place. I get in a lot of stadiums and a lot of arenas, and I've never seen anything quite like that. So when they picked the same firm that designed that to design the new RFK. Oh my God, they couldn't have done it better. I am so excited to see how the plan started. I mean, the renderings on the outside are just such a great tribute to the past. I mean, BMitch, if you're not looking at that and not getting emotional, I don't know what to tell you.
It looks, it has a lot of RFK to it. Believe me.
Yeah, and then the windows and the way they've got the ceiling and the transparency of it, it's great. Yeah, so to be able to have that in that place, for Cap Hill East, it's going to be such a great thing for the neighborhood. I know, and I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to go.
All right, now the questions aren't going to be as fun. Talking with our friend John Walton, who's on the road with the Caps. They're on this crazy 6-game road trip through Western Canada. Now you've made it to Seattle, and then one more road game against Detroit. The Caps' efficiency lately has been like driving in DC in this snowstorm. Like they're 3-6-1 in their last 10. I know the game in Edmonton was exciting, but they end up on the wrong side of it. The distance that Carolina's starting to put away in the Metro Division, like things aren't going great right now, Walton. How do they get better?
Well, I'm hoping that the roadmap starts with what happened in Edmonton, even though it ended up as an overtime loss. That was the best game I think we've seen this team play in a long time, where they battled against a very good team. They're going up against two of the very best players in the world. They had a defenseman put 6 points on the board in an Oiler uniform for the first time since 1986, when Gretzky was the one giving the puck around. So, they had some world-class performances in that game, and yet there they were with the lead, and they were ahead. They emptied the tank. And, I think just in watching what they did, I'm hoping that that's a roadmap for the future. The game in Vancouver was no good at all. You can't lose to teams like that. And the Calgary game was good for the last 40 minutes. It was really not good in the first 20, and it looked like, oh, here we go again. And, they got the emotional lift of Hendrix Lapierre scoring for the first time in 91 games, and he's beloved in a room, and you could see the entire game flipped on that goal. And that's the way hockey is sometimes. I mean, it's a game of emotion, and, the guys needed something to feel good about, and they got it. And I think they went to Edmonton and still had a lot to feel good about. They didn't get the W. Here in Seattle, it's a team that's hanging on to a wild card spot. They're more or less the same team, same kind of team that the Caps are. It gets tough because we've been out here so long. I mean, this is now into week 2 of this trip. And it's, guys are tired. I mean, yesterday was great that it was a full off day. There's a practice here this morning, and then a game here tomorrow night, travel day. It's just, you can't be on the road this long and not have it affect you this late in the trip. So hopefully they can dig deep. They're going to need one here against Seattle. Detroit's going to be a really tough one. The last game of the trip, you're almost home against a really good team in a building that you've struggled in. I feel like they need to get this one in Seattle to a little bit of a salvage operation when you've only won one of the first 4. But if you can get that, and again, just continue to feel good about your game, I think that's the best thing they can hope for right now.
What's been the overall issue? Just being consistent, you would say?
Consistency has been iffy. Injuries certainly have taken a toll. Wilson was out for the better part of 3 weeks. Alexei Protas was out for a bit. Dubois continues to be out. It has been, to an extent, where everything went right last year, lots gone wrong this year, and especially with team health. And they're still getting the goaltending. Logan Thompson's been very good. Hasn't won a lot, but hasn't gotten a lot of help. The thing that's, I think, the most concerning, and that I feel like they've cleaned up a little bit the last few games, but this team was really good at 5-on-5 defensively in their own zone. They didn't give up much. And that has kind of flipped here in the last few weeks. And now you can't blame injuries for that, because those guys back there have been playing, at least, even if they're not 100%. They're good enough to be in the lineup. So improving, and that's not just to blame the D, by the way, because the forwards have got to come back and do their thing too. So you got to work as a 5-man unit. But they got to be better defensively. And, there have been enough lapses, or just enough lapses, that pucks are just ending. Anytime there's a mistake made, it's ending up in the back of the net. And you're like, oh, well, here we go again. And I do feel like there's a little bit of that mentality of, oh, here we go again, has kind of crept in here. So being able to shake that off and be able to, okay, you played well in Edmonton. do it again. You had a really good 2 periods in Calgary the other night. Do it again. And if you can shake that off, and the schedule does get a little bit better. The Caps have played more games than anybody right now, and a compressed schedule that everybody's facing. So the schedule has not been kind. You're playing every other day. This is literally today is the first time in January that the Caps have not had. They've gotten more than 1 day in between games, so they're not going practice game or off day game or whatever. They're playing every day, and then they played 2 and 2 Friday and Saturday. So this is the first time they've had 2 full days where they didn't have to play, and they didn't even get it at home. They got it in Seattle. So it's been grueling, but you got to fight through it. Hopefully they can against Seattle.
The Olympic break is coming up in what?
Be end of next week.
Next week, okay.
Next Thursday at home against Nashville will be the last one.
Gotcha.
Well, obviously, listen, everybody's playing this condensed schedule. This is a lot of hockey in a short period of time. The fact that they've already played whatever it is, 53 games is crazy in late January. But that said, has that maybe hurt them more than other teams, combined with the injuries?
I mean, it seems that it has. When you look at where things are and the injuries that have piled up, and everybody's dealing with injuries, and some teams certainly even worse than the Caps, but it has been hard, especially, for older guys. For Ovi and for John Carlson and for, and even Tom Wilson, who has had to battle through some stuff. And Tommy had an outstanding season, and he's getting ready to himself to play more here. And the one thing that concerns me, listen, I want them to go win gold and be Olympians and all of that, but they're about to have 3 crazy weeks when everybody else is getting the break. So it's going to be a little tough for Wilson and Thompson, I think, when they come back. When you're down the stretch, and, I think it's going to be incredibly difficult unless you run the table and get some luck here in this last week to 10 days. You're going to be outside a playoff spot when you come back. And that's going to be grueling for those two, and you're going to need those guys because they're the backbone of your team. So, yeah, it is going to affect them a little bit more than others. But having said that, everybody's got to deal with it, and, they're just going to have to find a way.
I almost don't want to go this far down the road, but they have, 4 games before the break. Then you're off 3 weeks. Then they're going to come back and have this sprint to the finish line. What are you going to have, 25 games left in 6 weeks or something? How do you feel, if the playoffs were today, and they're not, but the Atlantic has so many more good teams that it doesn't seem like a wild card is coming out of the Metro. Now, they're only 2 points off the Islanders for that 3rd Metro playoff spot, but how do you feel about their playoff prospects right now?
Well, I think the race is a little close. I'm not ruling out wild card yet because just everything has been so close. And I really don't feel like there's a Colorado in the East that is just so over the top good. Carolina's good. But they're not Colorado. They're not this overwhelming, oh gosh, they're so much better than everybody else in the East. The Florida Panthers are coming. They've won 2 cups in a row, and, they've had pretty much everything go wrong, too, and they're still on the outside looking in, but they're probably still going to be a factor in contending for one of those wild cards. Tampa Bay has actually been really good, which is amazing, because I would have thought a little before Halloween, they got off to a terrible start. It's like, age is catching up with them. They've been good for a long time, and They've flipped it pretty good. They're a good team. They've gotten a lot younger, a lot faster, and they're doing fine. So there's a lot of teams that you've got to contend with. That's, I think, the biggest issue for the Caps is going to be the number of teams between them and a spot. In terms of points, they're not that far off. But the problem is that on any night you lose, someone else is winning, and it's just the way that it generally is almost every single night. And then even in this stretch where you're not playing, someone else is winning, and you're losing ground. So the wins have to come, and you've got to get yourself in position where you've got to play basically, you got to win 2 of every 3 games the rest of the way. I mean, you got to play 667 hockey the rest of the way. The team's played, 535 up until this point. So obviously, just in terms of raw numbers, they have to get better, and they're going to have to do that to get to 96 points, which is a pretty logical, close, maybe not exact, but pretty pretty good line to get to a playoff spot. Sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 92, but you've got to at least be in that mid-90s range or on pace for it. And right now they're not. They've got to be able to start stringing them together and get wins that maybe you don't expect. Maybe that's in Detroit on Thursday night where, you're at the end of the trip, but you found a way to do it. Okay. Then you've got, a game in Seattle where you've had a couple days off. You better win that one. So then maybe you've got, okay, you go into, you're coming home on Saturday night against Carolina and suddenly you've won 3 or 4. Okay. Then that's the pace you need to be on. And if you can do that, and I think that's what this week, the coach only looks at the next game, or the players only look at the next game. I mean, we look a little bit more, okay, we look at this is what the week looks like. But if you can replicate that every week, that's what you got to do. Yeah. And if you can't, then you're not going to make it. But that's, I think, what you're looking for this week. Beat Seattle, and then hopefully there's more to come against Detroit on Thursday night.
John, when like you've done these long road trips before, and the hockey season's a grind. Everybody understands that. When you get to the 5th of 6th road games and you're traveling far, like I've made the trip to Seattle a number of times. That's far. Vancouver's farther. Edmonton's farther. How ready are these boys going to be to get home?
Yeah, I mean it's they're ready. I mean they've got more. There's probably, I don't know, we have 40 kids. A lot of kids. I mean, it's not as much like Oshie had 4, right? And when Nicky was here, we were kind of a hockey team doubling as a daycare center there for a while. But they miss their kids. I miss my kid. I mean, that's the hard part. And I think so by the time that you get to, it's funny how this trip has gone too, because you started out in Denver and we've had massive travel issues on top of it. We've had a plane that wasn't ready to go twice on this trip. So we got an extra night in Denver we didn't think we were going to get, and that made it feel longer. And then you've been in Denver, you know how far away that airport is from downtown. We had to do that twice in pretty quick order, so that wasn't fun. Same thing happened we were trying to get out of Calgary and the plane didn't go. I said, we got to get a new plane. It's like, well, where is it? And they said, Minneapolis. So I was like, oh my God, the game's over, man. Like, what are we doing here? So it's been hard. I mean, that part has been hard. And you get to the point, even when things go right, by the time you get to Seattle, it's like, oh, okay, this is city 5 of 6. Like, you're getting there. But then, we're in Seattle for 4 nights. So it's like, okay, I guess today, and today's a practice day, and every day that you don't play on the road, and this is where baseball I don't think has to deal with this nearly as much, where you're on the road with baseball and you're in the same city for 3 or 4 days, but you're playing every day, and you feel, it's just you get in the rhythm of it, and it's, baseball is crazy long anyway with 162 games, but when you have a day like this where you're off, and it's like yesterday, it's like, hey, let's do something fun, let's go see what the Seahawks are doing, like, let's go hang out with the locals and watch them try and go to the Super Bowl. It's like, oh, that was fun, and you're like today, you're like, oh my God, what are we going to do today? We don't even play today. So, we're ready. I think to a man. The business and the task at hand. There's a job to do here. There's a broadcast to do. There's a game to play. But today is practice, and then it's like, okay, let's morning skate tomorrow. Okay, that's lovely too. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to that game and then get out of here.
Hey, John, we appreciate your time, man. Enjoy the road, and you'll make it home eventually, brother.
Yeah, we'll get there. Can't wait. Longest trip of the year. We'll get it done. Thanks, boys.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks, John. All right. That's the great John Walton. Give him a follow at John Walton PXP. You can listen to the Caps tomorrow night, I believe. I believe they're off today. Tomorrow night taking on the Seattle Kraken